Postseason basketball has officially arrived, yet Los Angeles remains far from their peak form. With Luka and Austin sidelined for the foreseeable future, a 41-year-old LeBron James must carry the entire weight of this franchise. He somehow just delivered 3 consecutive 25 and 10 masterclasses to protect their home court. This defies every law of aging. Is this brilliance just a temporary glitch in time, or can he summon one final legendary run? Sponsored by Prize Picks, we are breaking down the King's recent evolution to see if this pace is truly sustainable. For the most part, he spent his 23rd season acting as the elite glue holding this roster together. Whenever Luka commands the floor, the offense revolves around his gravity, forcing the veteran to find creative ways to impact plays without the rock. Typically, that involves camping out for triples, but his long-range accuracy has completely vanished lately. After consecutive seasons shooting over 42% on catch-and-fire looks, he has plummeted to 33%. Whether it is a statistical anomaly or nagging back pain, the perimeter threat has simply become unreliable. After years of launching nearly 4 deep balls a night, he has bottomed out at a 7-year low of 2. Consequently, he is punishing those spot-up defenders by putting massive physical pressure on the rim instead. His genius-level IQ is on full display as he masterfully times his cuts to become an easy target. When Luka initiates a spread pick-and-roll and the defense collapses, Zion is forced to slide over to cover the big. Watching from the weak side corner, the King pounces immediately, diving baseline to flush home a thunderous lob. In this sequence, Luka attacks an early isolation while the superstar hovers just one swing pass away. As the defender bites on the nail help, he drifts toward the top, waiting for that split-second eye contact. Once he gets the signal, he explodes into a full sprint and puts Jay Huff on a poster. His raw athleticism remains incomprehensible. Here, Brunson glances away for a mere fraction of a heartbeat, which is all the time needed for a total breakdown. That sheer suddenness as a slasher remains one of the most terrifying sights in the league. Again, he waits one pass away from the action, baiting his defender into what looks like a standard recovery. But before the closeout can even materialize, the veteran has already blazed past him toward the cylinder. You simply cannot concede the middle of the floor to him, so the Lakers often clear the baseline. If his primary defender cheats toward the paint, he exploits that vacated lane to do what he does best. This tactical shift makes doubling Luka nearly impossible. Facing a zone, Los Angeles clears the entire opposite wing. The strategy is to force Mitchell into a commitment so that when the ball finds the King, he possesses a direct highway to the hoop, leaving the rest of the defense completely scrambled. Because he processes the game at such high speeds, his reactions stay one step ahead. Witness his off-ball variety. They park him on the weak side alone while initiating a complex Spain pick-and-roll at the top. Allen is forced into a late rotation and fails to wall off the middle, gifting Aiden an easy layup. Take this specific look from a high-stakes battle out in Denver a few months back. He hovers nearby while Luka hunts a switch on Jamal Murray, putting the Nuggets' defense in a total blender. Jones scrambles to cover the roll, while Hardaway picks up the big, leaving Gordon stranded in a nightmare. Before the help can even react, the legendary forward is already slicing through the heart of the paint. The core philosophy here is spacing the floor through gravity and movement rather than just outside shooting. In a traditional wide-open screen-and-roll alignment like this, Anthony Black refuses to help inside for fear of losing his man, allowing Luka to waltz in for an easy lob. These cutting sequences are just the beginning. Combine that frame and intellect, and the utility is limitless. That remarkable versatility is precisely what allows him to remain an apex predator in this league, seamlessly morphing his role and positioning from one live ball to the next. Sometimes they utilize him as a screener for Reeves, putting the defense in an impossible tactical bind. You cannot afford to switch, but letting him catch the ball with momentum is a certain death sentence. For those same reasons, Los Angeles has integrated heavy down screens to get him moving toward the cup. With that level of downhill speed, you cannot give a freight train that much room to operate. Opting to switch gives him a glaring mismatch, paving the way for him to carve out deep post position and feast on easy buckets. In a staggering career first, over 50% of the Kings' scores inside the arc have been set up by his teammates this year. Part of this shift stems from his fresh role as an off-ball threat, dancing around the perimeter while feeding off the gravity of stars like Luka or Reeves. He remains an absolute terror on the break, either sprinting the lanes with the guards or ghosting behind the defense the moment a shot clanks off the rim. Effectively, he has transformed into the ultimate floor-spacing wing, thriving on the playmaking of others. Remarkably, even at 41 years old, he is outrunning the entire league in transition scoring, a feat that defies every law of logic and aging. He is currently throwing down more than 1.5 slams per contest, his most explosive clip in 10 years, surpassing even his physical prime. To be clear, these chances mostly sprouted from his role as a high-level glue guy within the Los Angeles system. He mastered the art of being a lethal secondary threat, yet that efficiency was tied to life without the leather in his hands. While he would occasionally spark the engine this season, the keys to the offense belonged firmly to Luka or Reeves whenever they stepped onto the hardwood. Tragedy struck the Lakers last week when both playmakers went down against Oklahoma City, effectively ending their campaigns prematurely. With only 5 matches left and a desperate scramble for home court seeding underway, the burden of leadership shifted back to number 23. Not only did he answer the call, he completely shattered any lingering doubts about his dominance. Just before we dive into the tape, a quick shout-out to Prize Picks for backing today's deep dive. For those who enjoy a responsible wager and have the bankroll for it, this is the premier destination for daily fantasy sports in the States. To get a piece of the postseason excitement, punch in the code HMA and jump right into the fire. The play-in tournament kicks off tomorrow with Charlotte facing Miami. I am betting on a high-octane shootout, which is exactly where LaMelo thrives. I am locked in on him recording over 30.5 combined points and dimes. Conversely, expect the Hornets to collapse the paint and double the post, leaving Bam open to facilitate. I like him for over 3 assists, a mark he has eclipsed in 11 of his previous 12 outings. The process is seamless. Identify your favorite metric, choose high or low, and lock your roster in. Join today using promo code HMA and place a $5 entry to instantly unlock $50 in bonus play. Grab the app via the link below and start your journey. Be sure to drop your best locks in the comment section below. Even deep into his 23rd season, the blueprint for a James-led attack begins with relentless pressure in the open court. He stalks the perimeter following any miss or giveaway, hunting for that early cherry-picking opportunity that results in a free bucket. When paired with a dynamic guard against a scrambling defense, his spatial awareness and raw power make him a nightmare to contain. This past week, however, he reclaimed the driver's seat. We are witnessing that he is still a world-class playmaker in space, flipping the script entirely. Now, he is the one demanding the leather in the backcourt, launching his teammates forward for high-percentage looks. His elite processing power is blindingly obvious here. The split second he secures the board, he identifies an unprotected lane for LaRavia. Without a moment's hesitation, he fires a 50-foot rocket that hits his target for an uncontested slam. In this sequence, he shadows Colin Gillespie at the arc, knowing that a quick sprint will force a defensive mismatch the opposition cannot handle. Seeing the opening, Braun delivers a laser-accurate pass right into Aiden's pocket for a simple finish. When you combine his rapid-fire intellect with surgical passing, there is zero margin for defensive lapses. If Timmy gets even a half step on his defender, James will find him with a pass that leads him perfectly to the rim. If the break isn't there, he simply takes matters into his own hands, bulldozing down the court. This aspect of his arsenal remains utterly ageless. That blistering vertical speed packed into such a massive frame is nothing short of a cheat code. Give him enough runway to gather momentum, and he becomes a freight train that nobody wants to stand in front of. But velocity is just one weapon. Then there is the sheer brute force. Even when a defender cuts him off, he uses that boulder of a shoulder to create space for a contested finish. Simply staying in his path is never enough. Even a defender as stout as Middleton gets bullied off his axis, leaving the lane wide open. It often requires a whole squadron of defenders to wall him off, and even then he usually finds a way through. Throughout this campaign, he stands as one of a mere trio of athletes putting up at least 7 points per game on the break. This select group is producing a lethal 1.3 points for every single possession they initiate. Consequently, opposing schemes are forced to sell out just to keep him from reaching the painted area. Typically, this results in 3 or 4 jerseys collapsing toward the nail, constructing a human barrier to block his path. However, that defensive swarm always leaves a man wide open, and his court vision ensures that those gaps are exploited instantly. During a 5-on-5 scenario, Gafford anchors the middle, inadvertently conceding a 2-on-1 overlap on the weak side. He zips it to Kennard, who immediately finds Rui for a wide-open look from deep. Braun stays composed, never letting the defense dictate his tempo. Recognizing the numerical edge, he surveys the hardwood with surgical precision to exploit every crack in the armor. With Gafford occupying the middle, a mismatch blossoms on the perimeter, gifting Rui another clean look from the arc. He processes the floor ahead of everyone else, pulling defensive strings like a master puppeteer. While Laravia clears the left, Braun's gaze locks right. Flag bites on the ghost pass, leaving the lane wide open for a bucket. To keep the pressure high, they trigger early sets, often isolating one side with a quick screen to force a snap decision. Gafford's first move is to wall off the drive, but that leaves Hayes completely isolated in the middle of the floor. Keep this in mind, the defenders are usually still scrambling to find their marks. Instead of dragging in a third body, it simplifies into a pure 2-on-2 duel, exactly where Braun thrives most. It's safe to say he perfected every nuance of the pick-and-roll 10 years ago, and honestly, who could argue? When the pace grinds to a halt, they still lean on that high-screen action to jumpstart the offense. Give him an inch in the open floor to build momentum against a retreating defender, and you can kiss the basket goodbye. One tiny misstep from the center spells doom. Williams stays high, but his stance leaks left, so Braun detonates through that gap. I'll keep coming back to one word. Unbelievable. LeBron attacks the paint 6 times nightly, converting 75% of those looks while constantly drawing whistles for free throws. Only 2 other Titans have cleared those hurdles this year, Giannis and Jared Allen. Within the pick-and-roll dance, big men must stop the ball first, but he's already seen every trick in the book. This time, Williams steps up to challenge the drive while the rest of the unit collapses into the passing lanes. He's got the touch to flick a shovel pass either way with effortless precision. Same matchup, different outcome. The window for the handoff is gone, but his massive frame allows him to improvise. He lofts a beauty over the top for a dunk. To stop the lob after committing to the ball, teams slide over early. Then comes the trademark Braun skip pass, whipping it across the court to force a desperate, doomed closeout. Simply put, you cannot allow him to turn the corner with a man advantage, or he'll manufacture a high-quality look. Naturally, defensive coordinators have begun to adjust their game plans to counter this. If they have the mobile personnel, they'll simply switch every single screening action across the floor. Without the constant worry of rotations, it becomes a straight-up isolation where his scoring gravity has slightly faded. With a running start or catching a defender off balance, he can still blaze right past them. But from a dead stop, that explosive first step has slowed, letting rangy defenders stay glued to his hip. When teams switch, they hunt for Ayton. He'll pin a smaller guard and simply shoot over them for an easy bucket. However, if the switch lands someone like P.J. Washington who can hold his own, they force Braun into a difficult isolation. Lacking that elite burst to get all the way to the cup, he starts settling for jumpers far too often. Make no mistake, he still carves out space and can go on a scoring tear, especially when the pull-up 3 falls. We've witnessed him hijack entire games just by getting hot from distance. Consistently, though, his pull-up game has been shaky this year, sitting at an effective field goal rate of 44.3%. To put that in perspective, he's netting about 0.89 points for every shot taken. The typical half-court set in this league produces 0.98 points per possession. So, a LeBron jumper is 10 points below the norm against elite, switch-heavy defenses with versatile athletes. That wide-open pick-and-roll style starts to lose its lethality in these specific scenarios. Looking at his solo game now, rather than winning with pure velocity, he prefers to back down his man with veteran savvy. The lightning speed might be gone, but the raw power and balance are as formidable as ever. From the block, he can shoulder almost any defender aside to reach his spot. It's more than just brawn, though. His arsenal is deep. His go-to move is often that fading jumper over his right shoulder. Because he creates so much separation, he can use that threat to freeze defenders with a pump fake, sending them flying. You can't leave him on an island in the post, but the moment the help arrives, he's already found the open man. It's a lose-lose situation for the defense. Defensively, there is zero room for mistakes. The center is waiting to assist, and the lane is completely choked. Yet, this defender is caught ball-watching for a mere heartbeat, and that is all the time required for a massive slam. Even a congested interior cannot stop him from scoring. Gafford is ready to rotate, but he is a split second too slow. There is nothing anyone can do once LeBron builds up that much momentum. It all comes down to the timing of the help. As Kennard cuts through the lane, Draymond lingers near the hoop. The Warriors are trying to trap Braun along the baseline. He simply waits for Draymond to either commit to a double team or move away. Then, he attacks the vacancy. Besides perfecting his own timing, he loves to disrupt the rhythm of any incoming defenders. Gafford is much quicker to rotate this time, so he uses a fake turnaround to bait him into the air. Like in the open court, he is patient but deadly. This is a standard defensive rotation, but he finds Bronny with a perfect pass before the defender can even start his recovery. They return to that exact same offensive look just one play later. This time, the central help is less aggressive, so LeBron goes one-on-one until the late double team arrives, which he punishes with another assist. Sometimes, it truly seems like he possesses a full 360-degree field of vision. That is a testament to his elite awareness. He has the incredible gift of mapping the floor, even the areas behind him. When he drives the baseline and forces the defense to collapse, the entire team is at his mercy. As he pivots back toward the center, he manipulates Brooks with his eyes before throwing a cross-court pass for an open three. Here is another perfect example of that mental game. The big man steps up to protect the rim. That forces the low defender to pick up Ayton, creating a 2-on-1 disadvantage on the far side. As Braun turns, he stares down Rui in the corner to pull the defender away, leaving Bronny wide open. What sets him apart from other stars is his refusal to take what the defense gives him. He hunts for his own terms. For instance, a skip pass to Rui is the standard play here. It would force a long recovery and start the defensive rotation. However, Podziemski has no hope of stopping Ayton in the lane, and that is a much higher quality shot. Essentially, he has a counter for every defensive strategy, and that dominance begins before the ball even reaches him. This time, the defender tries to deny him the ball by playing in front, so he just slips behind for a layup. For 20 years, his offense was built on high screens. You still see many of them today, just not always involving the big. Instead of the usual pick and roll, they are hunting for the smallest defenders and clearing the way. Once he has the room to exploit a mismatch, the defense is forced to make impossible choices. Without Reeves or Luka, the Los Angeles scheme is about choosing their victims. Sometimes that involves Braun screening for a smaller teammate. In this sequence, he forces a switch, slips the fronting defense, and delivers a beautiful touch pass while in the air. This strategy works because Braun sets such punishing screens, forcing defenders to decide whether to switch or get burned. On this possession, Draymond refuses to switch. He shoves the smaller defender out of the way to take Braun himself. But that creates a massive mismatch for Ayton to exploit, resulting in an easy bucket at the rim. They also manufacture these mismatches using those down screens mentioned earlier. On this play, the defense is late on the switch, giving Braun the space he needs to attack immediately. Sometimes they invert the action by using Braun as the screener. To avoid the switch, Christie chases Kennard over the top. That opens a direct path to the lane to set up Ayton. By punishing these mismatches, the offense creates endless possibilities. When Kennard runs off a flare screen, they refuse to switch. They do the same thing when Ayton sets a ball screen. Draymond is playing high, but when LeBron sets a screen for Kennard, he makes solid contact to force the switch. They immediately clear out the side to let him work in the post, and the help defense arrives too late. He finishes with a layup. Then, just 2 minutes later, they run the exact same play. Remember, they did not want to switch that flare screen, but this time Kennard gets free for a jump shot. When the offense flows through Braun, it attacks so many pressure points that it becomes a perfectly balanced assault. The entire strategy is built on the fact that defenses are terrified of switching small guards onto him. It appears to be a standard spread pick and roll, but it is a trick to get Gafford onto Braun as a screener. If Dallas switches, Braun has the advantage, but Gafford's hesitation gives Kennard an open lane to the basket. They return to this exact same strategy in the fourth quarter, but with one additional clever detail. As Hayes sets a screen to help Braun hunt the lumbering big, LaRavia hammers home a down screen to pit Rui against a smaller guard. This sets the stage for a lethal two-man dance between Braun and Rui. The defense refuses to yield the mismatch, giving Rui the green light to explode toward the rim for a clean pull-up. Every maneuver they execute is sharp, decisive, and relentless. The second the lane clears out, Braun pivots to pave a path for Kennard. When that initial push stalls, they reset at the perimeter where Kennard immediately serves up a go screen for Braun. With the middle of the floor left unguarded, he has a direct highway to the rim. It all boils down to successfully sabotaging the defensive switch. Golden State's resistance is starting to crumble. Once Braun catches the ball with the floor spaced wide, the opposition is left with zero good answers. They overcommit to the paint, leaving LaRavia perched on the wing for a high-quality look from three-point territory. The sheer velocity of these plays forces defenders into impossible split-second choices. Brooks is anticipating a switch, while Gillespie is scrambling to recover. That brief moment of hesitation is all the space Braun needs to secure a deep, dominant position in the post. He has the defense on a string, freezing Brooks with a look toward Rui before feeding the league's most lethal shooter for an uncontested triple. One could certainly argue that a team with a perfect defensive roster wouldn't let Braun manufacture such glaring advantages. It is true that flawless defensive communication and switching can neutralize many of these tactical nightmares. The real riddle is this: how many rosters can actually survive without a smaller defender for LeBron to relentlessly target? Perhaps Oklahoma City, or certain specific rotations utilized by Houston or Detroit. He remains such a physical and technical marvel that even the most elite perimeter stoppers are viewed as mismatches in his presence. He is still engineering massive edges whenever the ball is in his hands, even if his methods have evolved over the last 2 decades. These past 4 games are just a glimpse of his season-long impact. For the majority of the season, he has thrived as a high-level connector, playing primarily off the ball. Ultimately, while sharing the hardwood with both Luka and Reeves, he has contributed a highly efficient 20 points and 6 assists, propelling the Lakers toward the league's offensive summit. The most fascinating data point, however, is how he performs during those 500 minutes without either of his star teammates. In those solo stretches, he has erupted for 31 points and 11 assists per game, while the Lakers' offensive rating remains just as elite. This is a loud declaration that at 41 years old and in his 23rd season, LeBron can still morph into a high-volume offensive engine. The burning question is one of endurance. Dominating for 8 or 9 minutes a night is the easy part. Can he maintain this superhuman level for 4 games, 5 games, or an entire grueling championship run? We are on the verge of finding out, with the postseason less than 1 week away and no concrete updates regarding the health of either Luka or Reeves, leaving Los Angeles in desperate need of one more legendary masterpiece from their icon.